Education forms the cornerstone of community life and significantly influences where families choose to establish their homes, assuming families have any energy left after researching housing prices to investigate the educational system that operates with more complexity than international diplomatic negotiations. The Israeli education system's complexity and diversity mean that each community offers a unique educational landscape shaped by its demographics, values, and resources, plus the accumulated educational philosophies of approximately 75 years of people who had very strong opinions about how children should learn. Understanding these educational frameworks is essential for families making informed decisions about where to live, as the quality, philosophy, and accessibility of education can vary dramatically between different community types and even within neighborhoods of the same city, creating a decision-making process that would challenge professional researchers and possibly require advanced degrees in both education and geography. The Israeli education system operates on multiple tracks that reflect the country's diverse population and ideological spectrum, because apparently having one unified education system would be too simple for a country that thrives on complexity and passionate debates about everything from politics to sandwich ingredients. The secular state education system serves the majority of Israeli students, providing instruction in Hebrew with a curriculum emphasizing core academic subjects, critical thinking, and democratic values, assuming you define democratic values as learning to argue respectfully about everything while still getting good grades. The state religious education system combines rigorous secular studies with Jewish religious education, creating an environment where academic excellence coexists with traditional Jewish learning and observance, producing students who can solve calculus problems and debate Talmudic interpretations with equal enthusiasm. The independent religious education system, primarily serving the ultra-Orthodox community, focuses heavily on religious studies while meeting minimum state requirements for secular subjects, creating educational approaches that prioritize spiritual development alongside whatever math and science the government insists is absolutely necessary. Arabic language schools serve the Arab population with instruction in Arabic and curricula that reflect Arab culture and history, because Israel believes in educational diversity that reflects its multicultural population and their various approaches to child rearing and academic achievement. Additionally, various international schools, alternative pedagogical approaches, and specialized programs serve specific populations or educational philosophies, ensuring that no matter what your educational preferences, there's probably a school somewhere in Israel that matches your vision of perfect childhood learning, assuming you can find it, afford it, and get your child admitted. In major cities like Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, and Haifa, families enjoy unprecedented educational choice and diversity that can make choosing a breakfast cereal look like a simple decision. These urban centers host schools representing every educational track, from secular state schools with innovative programs that treat learning like adventure sports to prestigious religious institutions where academic excellence comes with serious spiritual development. International schools offering curricula in multiple languages for families who want their children to be confused about standardized testing in several languages simultaneously, and alternative schools embracing pedagogies like Waldorf or democratic education that operate on principles most parents need explained by educational consultants. The concentration of educational institutions means families can often find schools that precisely match their values, academic expectations, and cultural preferences without requiring long commutes that turn school pickup into cross-country expeditions. Many urban schools offer specialized programs in areas like science and technology, arts, languages, or advanced academics, providing students with opportunities to pursue their interests and talents from an early age while developing the kind of specialized knowledge that makes family dinner conversations either fascinating or completely incomprehensible. The educational advantages of big cities extend beyond variety to include access to supplementary educational resources that enhance formal schooling and can turn childhood into a full-time academic enrichment experience. Major cities host universities, research institutions, museums, libraries, cultural centers, and professional organizations that provide enrichment opportunities, internships, and exposure to diverse fields of study and career paths that can help children develop interests in everything from archaeology to zoology without leaving their metropolitan area. Students in urban areas often have access to advanced placement courses, international baccalaureate programs, and dual enrollment opportunities with local universities, creating academic possibilities that can make high school feel like advanced graduate training and college preparation that begins sometime around third grade. The competitive environment and high expectations in many urban schools can drive academic excellence, though it may also create pressure that makes Olympic training look relaxing and turns family homework time into strategic military operations requiring multiple adults and possibly professional tutoring services. However, urban educational environments also present challenges that families must consider carefully, preferably before making any major life decisions or financial commitments. Popular schools may have competitive admission processes or long waiting lists that make getting into Harvard look straightforward, forcing families to develop application strategies that would challenge professional admissions consultants and require planning that begins before children learn to walk. Class sizes tend to be larger, potentially limiting individual attention and personalized instruction, while creating classroom environments that can feel like managing small corporations rather than intimate learning communities. The fast-paced urban environment can create stress for students who discover that academic success requires time management skills typically associated with corporate executives, and the abundance of choices may overwhelm families trying to navigate the system without advanced degrees in educational philosophy and possibly professional therapy to deal with decision-making anxiety. Additionally, housing costs in areas with the most desirable schools are typically highest, potentially forcing families to choose between educational preferences and financial considerations that can affect everything from family vacation budgets to retirement planning. Small cities and large towns often provide a middle ground that combines reasonable educational choice with more manageable environments and stronger school community connections that don't require professional networking skills to navigate successfully. These communities typically offer multiple schools representing different educational tracks, though the selection may be more limited than in major urban centers where choosing a school requires research typically associated with doctoral dissertations. Schools in these communities often benefit from smaller student bodies that enable closer relationships between teachers, students, and families, creating educational environments where children are known by name rather than student identification number and where parents actually recognize other families at school events. The reduced competition and pressure can create more supportive learning environments where students feel known and valued as individuals rather than just academic performers competing for limited resources and college admission opportunities. Educational institutions in small cities frequently develop strong connections with their communities, incorporating local resources, businesses, and cultural institutions into their curricula in ways that make learning feel connected to real life rather than abstract academic exercise. Students may have opportunities for meaningful community service, internships with local businesses, and participation in community events that reinforce their sense of belonging and civic responsibility while providing practical experience that college admissions officers apparently find impressive. The scale of these communities often allows for innovative educational approaches and experimental programs that might be difficult to implement in larger, more bureaucratic systems where changes require committee approval and possibly environmental impact studies. Nevertheless, educational limitations in small cities may become apparent for students with specialized interests or exceptional abilities who discover that their educational needs exceed local resources. Advanced courses, specialized programs, and diverse extracurricular activities may be less available, creating situations where academically gifted students exhaust local offerings before graduating high school. Students interested in highly competitive academic tracks or unique programs may need to commute to larger cities or consider boarding school options that can separate families and require financial planning typically associated with college tuition. The teacher pool may be smaller, potentially limiting exposure to diverse teaching styles and expertise areas while creating educational environments where everyone knows which teachers are excellent and which ones are just filling positions until something better comes along. Small towns and rural rural communities often face the greatest educational challenges, though they may also offer unique advantages for certain students and families who value intimate learning environments over extensive program offerings. Schools in these communities are typically smaller, creating intimate learning environments where every student is known personally by teachers and administrators who remember their names, family histories, and probably their academic strengths and weaknesses from kindergarten through graduation. This personal attention can be particularly beneficial for students who struggle in larger, more anonymous settings, where individual needs can get lost among hundreds of other students and busy teachers managing overcrowded classrooms. The close-knit nature of small-town schools often translates into strong support networks and a family-like atmosphere that nurtures both academic and personal development, while creating educational communities where everyone feels invested in every child's success. However, small-town schools frequently operate with limited resources and fewer educational options that can make academic planning feel like creative problem-solving exercises. Course offerings may be restricted to essential subjects. Advanced placement classes might be unavailable or offered online with minimal local support, and extracurricular activities could be limited to whatever volunteer parents are willing to organize and supervise. Teacher recruitment can be challenging in communities where professional opportunities are limited and cultural amenities are scarce, potentially affecting the quality and consistency of instruction while creating staffing situations where teachers wear multiple hats and teach subjects outside their expertise areas. Students with exceptional abilities or specific learning needs may not find adequate support or challenge within the local system, creating situations where families must choose between community connection and educational appropriateness. Many families in small towns find themselves weighing the benefits of intimate, supportive educational environments against concerns about preparation for higher education and future opportunities that may require academic experiences their local schools cannot provide. Yeshuvim present unique educational landscapes that often reflect the community's founding principles and demographic characteristics, creating schools that can feel either perfectly aligned with family values or slightly cult-like depending on whether you actually share the community's educational philosophy. Many Yeshuvim establish schools that align closely with their residents' values and educational philosophies, creating highly coherent educational experiences where home, school, and community deliver consistent messages about everything from environmental responsibility to religious observance to political ideology. Some focus on environmental education, incorporating sustainable living and connection to nature into their curricula in ways that turn students into miniature environmental activists who know more about composting than most adults. Others emphasize religious studies, Zionist ideology, or specific pedagogical approaches that create educational environments where every lesson connects to larger philosophical frameworks and children develop very strong opinions about everything from agricultural policy to international relations. This alignment between community values and educational philosophy can create powerful learning environments where students never experience the cognitive dissonance of conflicting messages between home and school, though it may also create educational environments where alternative viewpoints are scarce and critical. Thinking involves analyzing different approaches to shared beliefs rather than questioning fundamental assumptions. The intentional nature of many yeshuvim allows for educational innovation and experimentation that might be difficult in larger, more diverse communities, where change requires consensus among people with very different educational philosophies. Some have pioneered alternative assessment methods that replace traditional grades with narrative evaluations, project-based learning that turns students into independent researchers before middle school, or integrated curricula that break down traditional subject boundaries and teach math through music and history through cooking. The small scale often enables flexibility and responsiveness to student needs and community input that larger systems cannot match, creating educational environments where curricula can be modified based on student interests and community resources rather than state mandates and standardized testing requirements. However, the specialized nature of Yishuv education can also create limitations that may not become apparent until students attempt to transition to mainstream institutions or apply for higher education. The small student populations may result in combined classes where third and fourth graders learn together, limited course offerings that require creative scheduling and possibly online supplementation, and fewer peer interactions for students who may not find their intellectual or social matches within the small community. Families whose educational preferences don't align perfectly with the community's approach may find themselves with limited alternatives besides relocating or commuting to schools in other communities. Students may need to leave the community for secondary education if local options don't meet their needs or interests, creating family decisions that can affect community connection and student development. Kibbutzim have historically placed strong emphasis on education, often viewing it as central to their mission of creating a better society through collective child rearing and shared educational responsibility. Many kibbutzim operate their own schools that reflect the community's egalitarian values and collective approach to child rearing, creating educational environments where cooperation is valued over competition, practical skills are taught alongside academic learning, and children develop strong connections between education and work that can make them surprisingly practical and community-minded. These schools often emphasize cooperation over competition in ways that can confuse children when they encounter the broader Israeli education system's competitive elements, practical skills alongside academic learning that produces students who can both solve algebraic equations and repair farm equipment, and strong connections between education and work that give children real-world experience in community economic activities. Students may participate in the kibbutz's economic activities as part of their education, learning valuable life skills while contributing to the community and developing work ethics that would challenge most adults. The communal nature of kibbutz life often means that education extends well beyond formal schooling into comprehensive community-based learning experiences. Children grow up with extensive adult supervision and mentorship from community members who share responsibility for their development, exposure to diverse skills and professions through daily community life, and a strong sense of social responsibility that comes from understanding their role in maintaining community well-being. This comprehensive approach to education can produce well-rounded individuals with strong practical skills, deep community connections, and values that prioritize collective well-being over individual achievement, though it may also create challenges when students encounter educational and social environments that operate on different principles. Modern kibbutzim face challenges in maintaining their educational distinctiveness while meeting state requirements and preparing students for success in the broader Israeli society that may not share their collective values and cooperative approaches. Some have evolved toward more conventional educational approaches that prepare students for competitive higher education and career environments, while others work to preserve their unique pedagogical traditions that may not align with mainstream academic expectations. The small scale of many kibbutz schools can limit advanced course offerings and specialized programs, sometimes requiring partnerships with nearby institutions or alternative arrangements for secondary education that can disrupt the community-based learning experience. Moshavim typically offer educational environments that combine rural settings with access to broader educational networks, creating learning experiences that balance agricultural connection with academic preparation. Many Moshav children attend schools that serve several rural communities, creating student bodies large enough to support diverse programs while maintaining the benefits of rural education, including smaller class sizes, stronger community connection, and integration of practical skills with academic learning. These schools often emphasize agricultural education, environmental awareness, and practical skills alongside traditional academic subjects, creating curricula that connect learning to real-world applications and community economic activities. The agricultural foundation of many Moshavim provides unique educational opportunities that urban schools cannot match, including hands-on farming experience, learning about sustainable agriculture, and developing strong connections to the land and environment that can influence students' career choices and life values. This hands-on approach can be particularly engaging for students who learn best through practical experience rather than abstract academic instruction, creating educational environments where kinesthetic learners can excel and all students develop practical skills that may prove valuable throughout their lives. However, Moshav education may face challenges similar to other rural communities, including limited resources that affect program offerings, teacher recruitment difficulties in communities with limited professional opportunities, and restricted course offerings that may not meet all students' academic needs or interests. Students with specialized interests or advanced abilities may need to seek opportunities beyond their local communities, requiring commutes or relocations that can affect family connection to the Moshav community. Early childhood education varies significantly across community types, with major cities typically offering the most diverse options and smallest communities providing more limited but often more intimate settings that can better accommodate individual children's needs and learning styles. Urban areas usually feature numerous private preschools with specialized approaches ranging from academic preparation to creative expression, specialized programs for children with different needs, including gifted programs and special education services, and innovative approaches like forest kindergartens that conduct classes outdoors, or language immersion programs that can produce bilingual preschoolers with better language skills than many adults. Small communities may have fewer options, but often provide smaller class sizes that enable more individual attention, stronger community involvement that creates extended family-like support networks, and more personalized attention that can help children develop confidence and social skills in supportive environments. Higher education access is another critical consideration that varies by community type and can affect long-term educational planning and family financial decisions. Students from major cities typically have easier access to universities, colleges, and professional training programs, often allowing them to live at home while pursuing post-secondary education and saving significant money on housing and living expenses. Those from smaller communities may need to relocate for higher education, which can be both an opportunity for independence and personal growth, and a financial and emotional challenge for families who must balance educational opportunities with family connection and financial resources. Families evaluating communities based on educational considerations must balance multiple factors, including educational quality, philosophical alignment, social environment, extracurricular opportunities, and long-term preparation for higher education and careers, creating decision-making processes that can overwhelm even the most organized parents. The best educational environment depends entirely on individual student needs, family values, and educational goals, making universal recommendations impossible and requiring families to develop expertise in educational evaluation that most people never expected to need. Some students thrive in competitive urban environments with numerous opportunities that challenge them academically and socially, while others flourish in smaller, more supportive settings where they can develop confidence and leadership skills without intense competition. If evaluating all these educational options feels overwhelming, an easy Aliyah boutique concierge service can help families understand different educational approaches, connect with current parents who can share their experiences, and identify schools that match their children's learning styles and family educational values. The decision becomes more complex when considering multiple children with different needs and learning styles, or when balancing educational preferences against other factors like career opportunities, housing costs, and extended family proximity that can affect overall family well-being. Many families find that the perfect educational environment doesn't exist, requiring them to prioritize their most important values and needs while accepting compromises in other areas and possibly developing backup plans for educational gaps. Ultimately, the community's approach to education reflects and shapes its character, values, and future direction, creating environments that can influence children's development and life opportunities in ways that extend far beyond academic achievement. Communities that invest in high-quality, innovative education tend to attract engaged families and create positive cycles of improvement and growth that benefit everyone, while communities that neglect educational quality may struggle to retain families and develop economically. Understanding these educational landscapes is essential for making informed decisions about where to build a life and raise a family, as the educational foundation established during childhood and adolescence influences opportunities and outcomes for years to come, affecting everything from college admission to career development to adult happiness and success. The complexity can feel overwhelming, but remember that millions of families successfully navigate these decisions and find educational environments where their children thrive, develop strong values, and prepare for successful futures in Israeli society and beyond.